Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is the 93% 7% nonverbal communication rule actually true? So first I'll start by explaining what this rule is. There were studies conducted in the late 60s by a doctor named Albert Mehrabian, and he was studying nonverbal communication and what the impact of nonverbal communication was. And one of the results from his study was that 55% of communication was through body language, 38% through tone, and 7% through the actual content, so the actual words that somebody says. And this has become known as the 93% 7% rule, because we take 55% and add the 38%, and that's the nonverbal piece, and then the verbal piece, of course, is the remaining 7%. The problem is that's not actually what the findings were. Mehrabian was pretty clear about the limitations of his study and what the findings actually meant, and those findings have been misinterpreted to become this 93-7 rule. We hear about this 93-7 rule all the time in terms of conversations and reading nonverbal behavior and using nonverbal behavior effectively in conversations. Also in presentations and in public speaking, how to use nonverbal behavior to get your message through. The problem again is that's not what this study was saying. If you look at the design of this research, it had to do with an audience that did not know who the speaker was. Also, the speaker was communicating in terms of content just one word. And what was measured in that study mostly had to do with liking, feeling neutral, or disliking, as opposed to a wide range of emotions. So you have participants that don't know the speaker, you have just one word being used, and the range of emotion really restricted to just liking and disliking. And somehow this finding was interpreted by many to mean that 93% of all communication is nonverbal. It's just not the case. So we can test this misinterpretation of Mehrabian's findings pretty easily. Consider, for example, this video. Clearly this video has a visual component to it and an audio component to it. Now, it's not fair to say that you should be able to figure out what's in this video without any sound, because 38% in that original finding had to do with the tone. But let's look at just 55% versus 45%. If when I started recording this video, I forgot to turn on the microphone, which has on occasion happened, would you be able to figure out, just from watching me with no audio, 55% of the message that I'm trying to deliver? You may be able to figure out something, but certainly not 55% of the message I'm trying to communicate. The tone and the actual content of what I'm saying is far more important than just 45% in terms of accurately communicating a message. So does that mean that nonverbal communication isn't important and this misinterpretation of earlier research has caused irreparable damage and we should ignore nonverbal communication? No, not at all. Nonverbal communication is extremely important. And in the original research, there was an important message that Mehrabian was trying to communicate, which is it's really about incongruence. What he was really getting at in his study, in terms of a finding, was that when there's incongruence between nonverbal communication and verbal communication, meaning someone is expressing one thing nonverbally but saying another verbally, individuals pay much more attention to the nonverbal communication. That was really the important part of the study that has been overshadowed by the misinterpretation. So if you want to effectively communicate and make sure that your message is understood, make sure that your nonverbal communication is congruent, is consistent with your verbal communication. I hope you found this description of nonverbal communication to be interesting. Thanks for watching.